Hello everyone, my name is Apple Guy, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Paper Mario. This is the second bonus video for the series, and today I wanted to go ahead and make a little bit of a guide. We've seen many partners across the Mushroom Kingdom during this adventure, and we haven't really had the time to shine the light on every single one of them. There are partners we used a lot more than others, and even the ones we did use, we didn't see all of their abilities, so I want to make sure that we go back and go ahead and check through each of the partners, show off each of their abilities, and discuss a little bit about them. So I'll be using information gathered from the Paper Mario fandom wiki to discuss each of the party members. Structure of this video, I will go through each of the in-battle abilities that the partner... For this video, I will go through each of the in-battle abilities that the partner has, discuss their FP cost, the effect, if there's an action command, and as well as when you can unlock it. This is going to be a little bit of a spoiler video in case anyone's watching this without having to watch the series or play the game themselves. I will be revealing all of the partners that you will come across in the adventure. But without further ado, let's get into it. The first party member we receive in the prologue is Gumbario. The first attack he has is Head Bonk. It does not cost any FP, and all he does is essentially a Mario-style jump onto the enemy. If you press A right before landing to execute the action command, you can attack once more, and that of course comes off the bat. The other ability that Gumbario has right from the get-go is Tattle. Once again, no flower points needed, and what this does is it uncovers a little description of the enemy, tells you its stats, and it also will reveal a health bar. This is a very incredible ability if you are iffy on a boss, you don't know how much damage you've done, how much damage you have left. It's great to come out swinging first to see the health bar and then progress forward. In the series, I did this in the final fight with Bowser, and it was hugely impactful. If you super rank Gumbario, you will get the charge ability. It costs 1 FP, and it boosts the head bonk attack by 2. What that does is similar to a charge that Mario would have on his jump or his hammer, just increases the attack power. If you were to ultra rank Gumbario, you will receive multi-bonk, which costs 3 FP, and it is essentially Mario's power bounce, where it bonks an enemy multiple times until you miss the action command. This can be combined with charge to increase the attack power that you do originally, however eventually you will decrease down to a base level. The next partner you receive is Kooper. He is a Koopa, and he begins with the Shell Toss attack. 0 flower points are needed, and it simply attacks a single enemy. All you have to do to attack is tilt the control stick to the left and then release it when the red star lights up to get the highest action command, and that of course comes initially. Additionally, Kooper has Power Shell, which requires 3 FP, and it is a shell toss that attacks all enemies. It also has the tilt the control stick to the left power command, and that is also initial. If you were to super rank Kooper, you would get the Dizzy Shell ability for 4 FP, and what you do is rapidly press the A button, and if you get to a high enough percentage, it will make all the enemies on the field dizzy. Incredibly useful if you want to have some free turns where they won't be attacking, but this is incredibly difficult to pull off against tough enemies such as bosses. And for Ultra Rank, Kooper will get Fire Shell, a 5 FP cost effect that damages all grounded enemies. It is fire damage, so if you were to use this against an ice enemy, particularly in Chapter 7, you will see a massive increase of damage, and that is a flick the control stick to the left action in order to build up the attack power. The next partner we get is Bombette, also in the first chapter of the game. Bombette begins with Body Slam, which is a free move to use. You charge at one enemy, and all you have to do is hold down the A button to fill up the gauge, and then release it as it goes. Bombette also starts with the Bomb attack, uses 3 FP, and it damages a single enemy if you rapidly press A to fill the gauge. Upon super ranking, Bombette will learn Power Bomb, which uses 6 FP and damages all grounded enemies. So it is a bomb, but it attacks everything. And once again, that is a press A repeatedly maneuver. And when you ultra rank Bombette, she gets Mega Bomb, which uses 8 FP and is the same thing as a Power Bomb, except it damages all the enemies, including the ones in the air or on the ceiling. You have to repeatedly press A to fill that once again. Incredibly useful. There is not much of a power difference between Bomb, Power Bomb, and Mega Bomb. It just depends on who you need to attack and if you need to attack multiple people or not. The The fourth member is Parakarry, a member that I honestly wrote off at first, but across the adventure I did find him more and more useful. He begins with Skydive, which is a free attack where he dives and kicks one enemy. If you press A right before landing, you'll get some extra damage in. Additionally, he starts with Shell Shot, which is a 3 FP maneuver where he retreats into his shell and launches to attack a single enemy. This is a very fun one to do. You hold the cursor to the left and then you release it when the timing is right. It's going to be bouncing up and down, up and down. You just have to time it properly so that it hits the center of the target. When you super rank Parakarry, you get Airlift, a 3 FP attack, which lifts an enemy out of battle. They are completely removed so that you do not gain any star points from doing that. You have to press A rapidly to increase your chances of it working. It automatically succeeds if the bar hits 100%. And when you ultra rank Parakarry, you get Air Raid, 6 FP, and he retreats into his shell and hits every enemy on the screen. The higher that the bar reaches as you flick the control stick to the left, the more damage it will do. This attack is incredibly useful for dealing with enemies, particularly in the late game. I believe the boss of Chapter 7 has little summons that he can do, and if you use that, you can attack both the main boss and the summons, knock them all out, and it is incredibly, incredibly useful. The next partner you receive is Lady Bow in the Bow's Manor area of the video game. She starts off with Smack, a no-cost attack that smacks an enemy 4 to 6 times depending on how rapidly you flick the joystick to the left. It does some pretty good damage. At the end of the game, she was doing about 5 damage per hit reliably from enemies that do not have defense. She also begins with Out of Sight, which costs 2 FP, and it hides Mario and her from being hit, which means that no damage will be given, no effects, none of that. It is very, very useful, especially when you need to take some damage off. It's a lot like a Repel Gel, but only for a single turn. If you were to super rank her, she gains Spook, which scares an enemy out of battle. No experience will be gained from doing so. It's very similar to Parakarry's Airlift. In order to test that, you'd need to rapidly flick the control stick to the left, and it will automatically work if it reaches 100%. Her ultra rank ability is called Fan Smack. It costs 5 FP, and it is essentially the smack ability once again, but it does more damage. It's the exact same maneuver where you flick the control stick to the left. Instead of smacking with her little ghost hand, she smacks with her fan, and it does twice as much damage regularly from what I had seen. However, there's probably ways to increase that damage. Watt is the next partner Mario receives from the Shy Guys Toy Box area of the game. She begins with Electro Dash, which does a burst of electricity damage, dealing up to 5 total, and it does not hit defense. It completely ignores it. In order to do that ability, you have to hold the A button until the light at the end lights up. Additionally, Watt starts with Power Shock, which can stun an enemy for up to 4 turns if you mash the A button correctly, and that costs 3 FP. When you super rank Watt, she gains Turbo Charge, which boosts Mario's attack power by 1 point for 4 turns. It is incredibly useful, especially if you want to get to these crazy power bounce chains I've been using a lot later in the game. You can boost Mario's power with Super Jump Charge and then go into a Turbo Charge as well, and you can see some massive attack increases. That requires you to time pressing the A button when the lights turn on. The ultra rank ability for Watt is Mega Shock, which costs 5 FP and paralyzes all enemies. You have to mash the A and B button at the same time. I found it better to, instead of alternating A and B, on the GameCube controller at least, I can place my thumb in between A and B and press them at actually the same time, not alternating, and that works very, very well. The second to last partner Mario gets is Sushi. She begins with Belly Flop, which costs no FP. She launches herself at the enemy, and all you have to do is time that with a red light at the end of a bar. She also begins with the Squirt attack, which costs 3 FP, shoots an enemy with a powerful jet of water, and you have to hold the A button to fill the gauge, and as it gets closer and closer to the end, you have to start tapping it. When you get into that red area where the maximum damage can occur, you have to start tapping it, otherwise it will overflow and revert back all the way down. You will get not as much damage as you deserve. When you super rank Sushi, she gets the Water Block ability, which creates a block of water that increases Mario's defense by 1. It costs 3 flower points, and all you have to do is time pressing the A button as the stars light up. Her ultra rank ability is Tidal Wave for 6 flower points. She launches water at all enemies, and this is a little bit of a Dance Dance Revolution style. It'll randomly generate a B, and C down combination. You need to follow that as quickly as you can in order to maximize your damage. I actually had a very hard time doing this. I pulled it off a couple of times in the Mount Lava Lava area of the game, but it was particularly difficult here. So look back on that video if you want to see how it's done properly. And finally, the last partner Mario gets is Lackluster, also known as Spike, probably our least used partner in the entire game, which is unfortunate because he's got some really good abilities. He begins with Spiny Flip, which costs no FP, simply tosses a spiny egg at a single enemy, and you have to align the cursor with the target. The other ability he starts with is Spiny Surge for 4 flower points. He throws multiple spiny eggs at all of the enemies, and all you need to do is flick the control stick to the left, much like you would do with Bow's Fan Smack. The super rank ability for Lackluster is called Cloud 9. It costs 4 FP, and it creates a cloud that boosts Mario's evasion stats. You have to time this with the A button star similarly to a water block. And what that does is makes it so Mario isn't hit as often. Sometimes enemies will pass right through him. A little bit like when you get the Lucky proc at low health. And the Ultra Rank ability for Lackluster is called Hurricane. It costs 5 FP, and he uses his cloud to blow the enemies out of battle. You do not gain experience for doing this, so it's a lot like Bow's Scare ability or Parakarry's Air Lift. You have to repeatedly press A and B to fill the gauge, and once again, locating your thumb right in the middle of those two buttons will be incredibly useful for pulling that off reliably. Anyway guys, that's Mario's partners. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It might not be as long as the other ones are, but I think it's got some very, very good information that people can use when they're starting this game, or just in case they wanted to see what I was not able to show off throughout the normal Let's Play. I think there should be one more bonus video coming out, but besides that, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please hit like and subscribe and tell your friends about these series if you think they would enjoy it. It means a lot to me when you get my videos around. I'll catch y'all back here next time for the next episode of Let's Play Paper Mario. Until then, as always, take care.